Anybody got a red square yet? Okay, there it is. I was
Mine's
wondering
always delayed.
what happened to our live square. You live yet, Ruth?
Mm-mm.
Not
I
yet.
mean, I'm sure you're live. If we're live, we're live, but I don't see it until like 20 seconds in. So,
No. Has Victoria frozen on us? She looks like she may be frozen.
yeah.
So we're gonna have a few minutes to bring her
No,
back.
she's there.
No, there you are. Okay.
All right, if it happens again, I'm gonna go out and go on. I'll come back on the phone. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All righty. All righty. Well, either way, we know you are with us, and it's gonna be
Yes.
okay. It's gonna be okay.
Yep.
We always have challenges
Girl.
along the way, but hey, that's why we are who we are and why we do what we do, right?
That's right.
Did you all have a good week? You ready for your to share your
Yep.
week in review? This
Mm-hmm.
this
Yep. Yep.
I'm getting ready to say this morning, this evening.
Yeah, no, not quite. Although we could use a little more time, but
Yeah, I know, right? Right?
Yep.
We have a good guest tonight, and we've got something interesting. She does something really, really interesting. And I think our
Exactly.
listeners are gonna really like to hear about it tonight. So I'm excited. I'm excited about her being on. And she's gonna be talking about some things that all of us are probably facing or have they've touched us in one way or another. So I'm pretty excited about our guest tonight and what she's going to be sharing with us. But I think we've got everything set up that we need to have set up. We've got
Yep.
the order of our weekend review,
All right,
and
we ready.
we have everything else that we need, and we got some folks coming in. So, okay, Alan, if you're ready, we're ready.
All right, here we go. You guys have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Authors Up, a forum for authors by authors. And got my wonderful co-host with me tonight. There's Miss Ruth Griffin. Hey, Ruth,
Hi.
how you doing this evening?
I am well. How are you?
All right, all right. And there is Queen Victoria.
Hello.
Hello, Victoria. How are you tonight?
She's well. She's well.
She's
Okay, there she's back too now.
smile,
Okay. Hello.
smile.
Hello.
You're on candid camera.
Okay.
Victoria may have to pop out and pop back in, but for right
It's cutting up.
now,
It's cutting up.
we we've got a beautiful face that is frozen with a smile. There she is. There she is.
You
You're gonna
know.
try to go out and come back in, Victoria.
Yes.
Is that a
I
yes?
think so.
I
I think
think
I
I
better
think so.
just
Yes.
I
so
think
because
so.
this won't keep happening. Okay.
Okay, okay. Well, Victoria will be back with us in just a minute. I see Naikayeta has come on the line tonight. Hey, Naikayeta, good to have you in the house. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And we welcome any other countries that join us this evening, as well as those who are on Straight Podcast. And we welcome you this evening as well. And we usually start with our week in review. And guess who's up first? Ruth is up
That would be
first.
me.
So, Ruth, I'm going to let you go ahead. And then if Victoria is back in, we'll let her go next. How about that?
That sounds good. That sounds good. So,
Okay.
just an average week. Although I did have my first orthopedic appointment this week. So,
Ah,
um, yeah. So my toe's still broken. Not that we expected otherwise, but I guess because of the placement of the fracture, I have to continue wearing that beautiful post-op shoe for another 4 weeks. So
Oh,
yeah, I think the worst part is I don't get to run. I love running. Can't run. So my body is just not happy with that. So I guess I won't be breaking any more toes in the future.
what do they do? You don't have like a pin in it or anything? What? How
Well,
do they tape it or wrap it or?
they just tape it to the toe next to it and put me in a hard-soled shoe and call it a day.
Okay,
So they even said, not to exercise it, not to stretch it or
Oh,
anything like that. Again,
no.
because of where the break was.
okay,
So I have to allow the shoe to work as a splint and keep my foot
got you.
straight until it heals.
But
So
how many weeks?
they said normally it's 4 to 6. I'm gonna go back. I have to wear the shoe until August 14th,
Oh,
which will
Oh,
make
wow.
it about 4 to 7 weeks.
that's a long time.
Well, don't be old and break your toe. So that's what happens.
Don't be
And
old and break anything.
so that's a long
Exactly.
time. You got to run.
I know.
Oh,
I know. I mean,
I'm
I
sorry.
can do like the exercise bike. That never really was my thing, but I'm like, well, it's something, so I can't complain. But yeah, that's my advice. Don't be old and break anything. Just yeah.
Okay.
So
Take
that's
care.
my week.
Take care of yourself. Okay,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
good. What about you, Victoria? What was happening in the world of Victoria?
I'm trying to think that anything major, but no, it wasn't
No.
anything major. But it was a good week. Work, and
Family.
yeah. Let's see, family. Let me see.
Yeah,
Let
you were
me see.
sharing that earlier. The joys of children.
Oh, children, children. We went to a Friday to help my middle child move. And when we get to her location, she wasn't ready. We thought she'd at least have something packed, and she had a little bit of something, but we didn't see any boxes or even bags. How you just go into one place to another real quick. At least put stuff in some garbage bags. Let's get this going. She thought we were going to help. We were there to help her pack. Now we help her pack. And we did, we had no choice but to do it because she had to get out, right? So we
Mhm.
helping her pack and then we got it. And she lives 18 steps to go to the second floor where she currently lives and 20 steps to the second place. So I went up and down the steps a few times and then I was done. I was done. And then we get to the place she had some real good friends helping her get stuff out of storage, her apartment, then the storage, and then to the house. We get up there and then she goes, "We got everything up. Are y'all gonna not stay and help me unpack? What? What? What?
Nope. That's a
No,
no.
ma'am. No, ma'am. We're getting ready to go 2 hours back to dirt. That's what we're getting ready to do. So, because we rode 2 hours there and 2 hours back, I was so tired. Y'all, I am 2 steps from being a senior citizen. I'm so tired. I was so tired. I was just really tired, but I'm just grateful. And I told her before we left, you know what, baby, God has given you another chance, and He's a God of a second, third, fourth chances. But He's giving you a brand new apartment. It's a new start for you. This is her senior year coming up at college, and I'm so very grateful for His blessings. Today, I was just so overwhelmed, watching service and just praising God after the service just moved me to tears several times. So if I keep talking, I'm gonna cry again. But God is just so good, and I just thank Him for His many, many blessings. When I look in the faces of my children, and I see and I remember where I was when they were born, and see where God has brought us from, all I can do is say thank you. And so that's my weekend review. God, I just thank you for all you've done and all you're going to do. Such a blessing.
Man, that's good. That's good news. That's good news. I didn't have anything major happen
Okay.
this past week. It was a quiet week. It was a week of writing and reflecting and living vicariously through friends. and their children and
And
what
that's good too.
they do. I enjoyed looking back at pictures of Tyler's birthday celebration
Yes.
I posted during the week, and I ran across Hannah and her 5-year-old auntie.
Three.
How old is your
Three.
sister? 3-year-old auntie.
Three.
I
Oh,
just think
auntie,
it's the
yes.
cutest thing, and they just look good. And listening to Victoria, but the biggest thing, one of the biggest things, is I'm going to do a program very soon about waiting on the timing of God,
Mm.
why that is so difficult for us to do. So I'll be calling on some folks from the village to kind of weigh in on that. But there was a testimony of a young lady who we went to church together a long time ago. Actually, she used to be at the river, and she gave her testimony about receiving an email, and the email said they had been looking over her records and her payment records of their she and I believe her husband's student loan debt. And they wanted her to know that the debt had been forgiven.
Ooh.
Wow.
No, that's not the wow. The wow is it was almost $1 million, I believe. It was a phenomenal amount. And I see Lynn is on the line. Lynn, if you are still on the line and remember that number, can you put it in? It was 500,000, almost a 500,000, maybe almost a 500,000. But I know the million was in there. It was a
Okay.
phenomenal amount of money, and she was just praising God how in the last 5 years He had just done such amazing things with her and her family. So I was praising for her because when He moves like that and people get
Ooh,
we always talk about, that miracle mailbox blessing. But I tell you what, when you really get one, you don't
and no doubt about who did it, right?
you don't forget it. So yeah, I had a good week enjoying everybody else's good week. And while we during the show, if I can find that and pop up, because I don't want to misrepresent her blessing. But I tell you what, it was phenomenal. So I had a good week. I have no
Good.
complaints. I didn't break anything. It didn't fall down. I didn't do any of those things. So for me, that was really good. Really good. But right now we want to move on. And Victoria has the wonderful privilege of telling you a little bit about our guests tonight. So I'm going to turn it over
All
to
right. All
Victoria.
right. Get ready, y'all. Get ready. A lover of words and books, Marianne Sciucco studied the craft of writing as an English major at the University of Massachusetts at Boston and worked for a time as a newspaper reporter in New England. She eventually became a registered nurse to avoid poverty. With more than 20 years' experience as a staff nurse and case manager, she worked with countless families dealing with issues relating to aging, elder care, Alzheimer's, and nursing home placement. In 2002, she put the two together and began writing about the intricate lives of people struggling with health and family issues. It is said that Marianne is not a nurse who writes, but rather a writer who happens to be a nurse. She published her debut novel, Blue Hydrangeas, an Alzheimer's love story, in 2013 to glowing reviews. This book led her to become a co founder and director of All's Authors, which is a global community of authors writing about Alzheimer's and dementia from personal experience to light the way for others. She is podcast producer and host for Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia and All's Authors podcast. We're going to let her tell you about the amazing work she's been doing. But right now, we're going to take a short break. And then when we return, you will meet our amazing guest for the evening, Marianne Sciucco.
There she is.
Well,
Welcome.
Hey, how are you? So good to see you all.
Oh, it's
you
good to have
too.
you. We're so glad that you're able to join us, Marianne. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Now, normally we focus on a book and we talk about, we'll get a chance to talk about the books that you've written, but you provided us with a unique opportunity for discussion. When your query came through, I was intrigued by the concept of the website, All's Authors, but I don't think it's as simple as, "Ooh, tell us about your website," because obviously there's a journey there.
Mhm.
So, I will, however, start with tell us about your website, and then we're going to get to the journey. So,
All right. Well, I love to talk about my website. So,
please.
All's Authors is the global community of authors writing about Alzheimer's and dementia from personal experience to light the way for others. And it started as just three of us, really, back in 2015. I had written my book and published it. And it may surprise you, but a book about Alzheimer's is not an easy sell. There's a lot of stigma attached and a lot of issues around that topic. And I was an unknown writer. So I struggled with that for a little while. The book came out in 2013. In the meantime, I had gotten on with this group called Clean Indie Reads, which is on Facebook. And it was like a collaboration of authors who all supported one another by tweeting and posting on Facebook about each other's books, sharing newsletters, blog posts, things like that. And one day I was sitting around thinking about, my book and wondering, gee, if I got together with some other authors who had written a book about dementia, I wonder if we could do the same thing.
Mm.
So I knew a few people and reached out to them. And there were five of us at the beginning. We did it for 1 month. It was supposed to be just a 1 month thing. And we were just going to share each other's books across social media throughout June. June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month.
Mhm.
So three of us were really active on it. There were two other people involved who really, I guess they didn't get the whole concept, so they didn't live up to their responsibilities. And so they kind of exited. And then the three of us discovered that we really liked each other. We didn't know each other. We had never met in person and
Wow.
live in different states. Yeah, we met on Twitter, actually. Twitter was our founding place. And so that was in June. In November, which is Caregiver Appreciation Month, we said, let's do this again.
Mhm.
So we did, kind of the same thing. And then a year later, we got together again and said, why don't we do something, but let's go bigger. Let's do something more. Why don't we start our own website? So in 2016, we started a website. And the plan was in June that we would publish a blog post every day featuring a new book about Alzheimer's and dementia from an author who had written from their own personal experience. And there would be 20 posts. It was Monday to Friday, and then that would be the end of it. Well, at the end of the month, we still had more authors who wanted to post with us. And we discovered we really liked each other and we wanted to continue. So we said, okay, we'll keep it going, but just once a week. We couldn't do it every day. That was insanity.
Right.
So for once a week, we would post a new author. And that was in 2016. We're still doing it.
Wow.
And
Wow.
now we have 350 authors on our website with a variety of books, all about Alzheimer's and dementia, written by people who have Alzheimer's and dementia, unbelievably, many of
Wow.
them, and also people who have cared for a parent, a spouse, people who are professionals in the field and have dedicated their lives to caring for people with these conditions. It's a different experience, but also very important. Have many genres. We have a lot of nonfiction, memoir, caregiver guides, fiction. We have beautiful children's books, gorgeous illustrations, to kind of let kids learn, if somebody in their family that they're close to has this condition, and kids have a lot of questions, and a book is a really great way to sit and explain what's happening with grandma.
Sure.
Young adult, we have young adult books, we have poetry, we have art books, we have all kinds of books. We also feature blogs and podcasts and film. So we have a few filmmakers in our midst.
Awesome.
And as you mentioned, we have our own podcast as well. So we have a lot going on over there at allsauthors.com.
Okay.
So interesting.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about the benefit of grouping all these books together. I mean, I can go to Amazon and just type in
can.
all authors. Why what's important about putting them all together like that?
Well, it's a tough subject, as I said. And when you have your book is on that topic, it kind of gets lost in the Alzheimer's,
Right.
in the Amazon bookstore. So that was what we had experienced, all of us. So we thought that if we worked together and created a platform for the authors to which they could launch their book and develop an audience of people who, that's what they're there for,
Yes.
then it really helps the author in it, but it also helps the person who is searching for the written materials, because caregivers for any illness, but especially with Alzheimer's dementia, they don't have time to look for the books or look for resources.
Gotcha.
And if you go to Amazon and you type in book about Alzheimer's, you're going to get about 1 million hits. And you don't know, and very quickly you're in a rabbit hole. You don't really know what you're looking at anymore, or if it's going to have any relevance to you. So we created a website that every week we have a blog post written by the author about their personal experience. It goes beyond the book, and then they describe their book, and they, why they wrote it, and the response to it, and how to obtain it, and things like that. And then we have a bookstore, and if you go to our bookstore, all the books are categorized. So if you're caring for your mother, you can find all the books that are about caring for your mother. So you're not wading through a bunch of books about caring for your husband, because it's not what you're looking for, right?
Right.
So if you're looking for kids' books, whatever your subject is, if you're looking for a special thing like Lewy body disease, you can search for the books that are about Lewy body disease. So it really streamlines it for the caregivers and the readers. So we call it it's like a clearinghouse, and it's meant to simplify things for people who really, they're looking for that. They're thirsting for knowledge. They don't have a lot of time, and they don't want to waste whatever time they have, going through stacks of books that don't really mean anything to them.
Okay. That's awesome.
Let me jump in and ask something real quick, because I looked at it, and there's such a wealth of information between your blogs and the bookstore, and all of the things that you have out there, Marianne. How do you manage all that information, and how do you manage that website? Because you also have a newsletter that comes out. I think it comes out weekly.
Yes.
That you have. How many people are on this team? I know you said that there were 3 of you that said, let's go for this, and let's keep this thing going. But how many people does it take? I have a little tiny website, and I've got 2 or 3 people working on that. So I can't imagine how do you manage? How do you manage all the information that you have?
Well, we have the 3 founders are still very active, and we have a team of authors, people who are our authors. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 others. It's 8 or 9 or 10 of us, I think. And we do have some other volunteers and a couple of paid people who just do what do you call it? Like gig work.
Okay.
They come in, they do a job if we pay them, and that's it. So mainly it's just our team of 5. We have 5 members on our board. We're a working board. Everybody has more than one job. Some people still caregiving.
Wow.
Most of us have all lost. We've all lost our our loved one.
Mhm.
So I can't think of anyone still has. So we're all post journey,
Mhm.
which is significant. It's significant because a lot of people, once it's over, and they just want to move on and not live in this world anymore. But a lot of people and us feel that we have been through quite an experience and had to learn everything from scratch. So we want to share what we learned
Yeah, that's great.
and help other people, so other people don't have to, waste time and make mistakes and things like that.
That's great. That's great. Welcome to Angie Oliphant in South Carolina there, and welcome to you, Linda Cooks, as well. Glad to have you ladies on the line with us. That I have a program in my program. I always talk about the power of one, and you are that kind of inspiration, And sometimes when you do the things that you're passionate about, they
Hmm.
take on a life of their own.
Oh
You
yeah.
I'm sure that when you started, you had no idea you would go. It would grow the way that it has. So I applaud you for
Thank you.
saying yes and not turning back, but just doing what you thought was the right thing to do. So yeah, that's great. That's great. So I wanted to get that in.
Thank you so much. Well, it started as it was not an altruistic mission at the beginning,
Mhm.
and then as we got closer and realized what we had to offer was bigger than us. So we decided that we would branch out and make it more. We have two audiences. We have obviously the authors that we serve, but we serve the caregivers as well. And
Mhm.
that's the primary audience, is the readers or the caregivers.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
So how do you determine what books are featured on the website? Do you have
That
like
was my
vetting process?
question. That was my question.
So in the beginning, we like new people because we had read books. Especially my two partners, Jean Lee and Vicky Tapia. Now they had taken care of two parents with dementia at the same time,
Mm.
which is unbelievable. And that's what their books are about. And mine, I didn't. I had loved ones with dementia, but I didn't. They weren't people I had to take care of. They were family members, but they were not my responsibility. But I was a nurse, and so I worked in dementia care for a long time, and I helped people navigate that process. So we knew people, and we would approach the people that we knew and people that we had read. And then we started looking through the top books on Amazon in the category, and started reading those books. And so we read every book
Mhm.
and decide whether or not we want to invite that author. And then there's a lot of criteria. So we did that for a while, but before we knew it, people started coming to us,
Yeah.
and now we don't have to look anymore. They come to us. We have an overabundance. We had to shut down our submission portal. We do that frequently
Oh,
because
wow.
we're already booked into January. So
Mhm.
we said let's take the summer off and shut it
Awesome.
down, and when it opens in September, we're going to have an avalanche of requests, and that's a good thing because it means people are writing these books.
Yes. Yes. They're
Yeah,
sharing their
a lot of
stories.
them are like books that
Yes.
are just come out. They're coming out. People are very excited. They want their book on our site because they know that they're going to be with other books and other. That's where readers are going to go looking because it's caters just to that crowd.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
That is amazing.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
amazing.
So let's talk about your writing journey. You're not a nurse who writes, but a writer who happens to be a
Hmm.
nurse. What
Hmm.
made you, and look, I ended up with a 22-year career because I also did not like poverty. So, you
Yeah.
know, it wasn't my first choice, but you did what you need to do. So how
Right.
did you end up in nursing and how did you, it, tell us about you?
I never wanted to be a nurse. Now I am a product of the 70s.
Mhm.
So at that time when I was in high school, there weren't a lot of opportunities for women, young
Yeah.
women. That I went to my guidance counselor my senior year and to discuss my plans for my future, and he said, "You can be a teacher or a nurse or a secretary." And I said, "I don't want to do that.
Secretary.
I want to be a writer." He said, "You'll be a good nurse."
Oh,
And I said, okay, well, I'm not doing that. So I went to college to learn how to write, and I did that. I wanted to be a journalist, and I did that, but I could never get a full-time job.
Mm.
I could never get anything sustainable. So I did a lot of work, but I wasn't paid much
right.
enough.
Mhm.
So then I had to think about an alternative. And at the time, they were having a nursing crisis across the country, shortage. So I said, maybe he was right after all. So I went to nursing school. Once I became a nurse, there was never a problem getting a good job.
Right.
Right.
So I worked as a nurse for a while, and I always continued to want to write. And I ended up finally sitting down to write a book in 2002. I started it, and it took me 18 months. And it's Blue Hydrangeas, which was based on a couple I met in my work. So at the time, I was a case manager, and my job was to help people with what happens after a hospitalization. You know, where are you going to go? What do you need? May not need anything, but sometimes people have to go to nursing home or rehab or need a visiting nurse. So I was busy organizing that for people, and I met this couple, and she had fallen and broke her pelvis, and her plan was to go to rehab.
Okay.
And I ended up getting involved with them, and she was just so lovely, and I was captivated with her. And her son was with them at the time, and she was leaving the next day, and he said, "Can I take my mom to the facility where she was going?" And drive her there myself. And I said, sure, that's fine. He said, well, I don't want my father to take her, and I don't want them to leave here without me. So I thought, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then after that, I couldn't stop thinking about them. And I kept saying, well, what would happen if somehow the husband and the wife left and then they were gone and without their son, and then they don't go to the place? Where would they go? What would they do? So that became the story of Blue Hydrangeas. And it took me 18 months to write. And I was looking at traditional publishing at the time. It was 2004. So really, indie publishing, Kindle wasn't really a big thing at the time.
Right.
And I didn't get anywhere. I sent out many, 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 many queries. And I have a big stack of rejection letters from people that never read my book. Not one person ever read one page.
Yeah.
That really stinks. Then you're not, nobody wants the book, but you don't know why. I mean, they didn't even read the book.
Yeah.
So, so a friend of mine said, why don't you think about self-publishing on Kindle? And I thought, why not? So I did. It took me about a year. So I published the book, and before we knew it, people were buying the book, and I was getting reviews, and people were sending me emails and letting me know how much it meant to them.
Wow.
And that went on, for about 2 years, and then we started the All's Authors.
Okay.
So it was a long journey. I had written the book, and it sat for 9 years before I published it. And in the meantime, I had written some other stuff and got some stories published and won awards. So I knew that I could write well enough. And just that really kept me going. And I didn't want to let that story go because I thought it was important. Little did I know.
Little did you know how important.
It was going to be the cornerstone of this organization. So, yeah.
Oh, that is incredible. Now, what other subjects do you write about? Is it just all the dementia and Alzheimer's?
No, that's the only book on that topic. So I wrote a prequel to that story because people would write to me and they want to go to the inn and they want to know where it is, and it doesn't exist. I made it up. So people want more stories about the inn. Yeah, I wish it did exist, because Blue Hydrangeas is a bed and breakfast. So on Cape Cod. So I wrote a book called Christmas at Blue Hydrangeas that takes place long before Alzheimer's enters the life of this couple. So that's a really sweet little story. And it's on Christmas Eve, and there's a blizzard, and there's like a lot of little dramas. And now I'm working on one called A Wedding at Blue Hydrangeas, which is the son's wedding. Again, long before the mother has Alzheimer's. And I also wrote a novel called Swim Season, which is about girls varsity swimming, because my daughter swam for 11 years. Wow. And I used to sit on those cold, hard bleachers, week after week, watching hours, swim meets go on for 6-8 hours. And then I've made all these observations. And one day I said, I should write a book about this because I think that the girls would really like it. So I did. And it's almost 600 pages.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so that wasn't just, hey, I'm going to write something over the next few weeks.
Oh no, that took took 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
It took me 5 years, and I finally published. I had to get out because my daughter was getting ready to graduate college. So I said, I better finish this book before I'm not in the swim life anymore. And just the other day, last week, I got an email from a young woman who had written to me years ago, and she had read the book, and she was a swimmer in high school, and she wrote to me, and she says, I'm reading your book again. Now I'm in college and I'm swimming, and I just had to read the book again. And I just wanted to tell you, I think it should be a movie.
Oh,
From your lips to God's ears, because it would be.
that's it. That's it.
Awesome.
That book is very close to my heart,
Wow.
Awesome.
and they're all in audio. All my books are available audiobook.
Oh, good.
Right.
You said you had a copy of the book, Blue Hydrangeas?
I do. I actually have one sitting right here.
Look. I'd like to look at the book.
Oh, yeah.
Get the book. Get the book.
Yeah, I'm in the process of doing a 10th anniversary edition, and it's gonna have. I'm getting new covers.
Nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're gonna rebrand it, and it's gonna match the other two books, so there'll be a series. So,
Nice.
Very
Nice.
nice. Very
Congratulations.
yeah, I'm trying to get that out this year.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck with that. I'm all for rebranding and getting it out there and hitting out new, touching new audiences with that. So, I honestly, I didn't, we didn't ask for your book ahead of time. Usually we do. So I am gonna shoot over to Amazon as soon as we're done tonight and get a copy of it. So I'm a romantic at heart. So of course
Awesome.
that
Yeah, let me know how you
Yeah.
like it. It's a sweet story. It's poignant but beautiful. That's what people say
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So it's not all doom and gloom. Alzheimer's, people think when somebody's diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it's like a death sentence and it's all doom and gloom. It's not really like that at all, because it can go on for many, many years, and there are all the different stages.
right.
And
Right.
there are still moments of joy to be found.
Mhm.
So,
That's
Well, I
great.
mean, ultimately, it is, they're our stories. They're our human stories, and not everything is, like you said, a death sentence. So
right. You're
you
not going
got
to
to
die
look
next
for it.
week.
Yeah.
Some people go on for more than 20 years.
Yeah. It's a struggle.
Mhm.
It's a
Well,
struggle.
I just wanted to say that I was very impressed about the wealth of knowledge that is available at allsauthors.com. You have a wealth of resources, and I just commend that. It's not just about the authors. You also put things out, helpful websites and guides and things that people would need. So I just think that is a wonderful, wonderful thing that you have done. I mean, oh my goodness, it's just amazing.
Thank you.
Woo!
Yeah, it's a
Go
lot.
to the website. Go to the website.
Yeah, especially if somebody you love has Alzheimer's or another dementia condition, and find the resources that you need, because people don't know when they enter into this world, they don't usually know anything, period.
Right.
And then once it starts, you're on like this race course trying to get all this stuff done, and you don't even have time to start learning, and that's what really makes it hard.
Mhm.
People don't know what they need to know until they're in the middle of it, and then they don't have time.
Exactly. Wow.
Right.
That's so true.
So one of the things we do that may not be as apparent on the website is we do virtual events. We have our authors come. We usually bring like 3 or 4 or more together, and we hit on a topic. So we did one, for instance, 2 years ago, we did a program with 5 of our authors who all have dementia, and written about it.
My gosh.
And and they talked about, they all were diagnosed with early onset, and talked about their experiences, and we're going to bring them back. My plan now is 2 years later to see where they are now, what has changed. So that's really exciting. And we're going to do one on dementia and the arts, because using art in dementia care is very rewarding, and it's a good communication tool. And we have several authors who that's what they do. They work with people using different art forms and things. So we want to do that. And we did one on Dementia with Difficult People, which was about caring. It wasn't that the person was difficult because they had dementia. It was caring for somebody whom you've had a turbulent or tumultuous past, like a
Right.
mother who may have abandoned you, or somebody
Right.
like a parent that you never got along with, or you had siblings that didn't want to help.
Right.
And it was about, people who did that and what they learned from that, which is a big problem for a lot of people is, having to take care of a parent that they don't really like,
Mhm.
or have siblings that don't want to be involved. And we
That's
did
real.
one, yeah, we did another one that was when dad has dementia. So it was about caring for your father.
Mhm.
So we try to do like 3 or 4 of those every year. And it helps people, everything is recorded. So we get to play it on YouTube, play it on the podcast. It's live. It gives the authors visibility, and it also provides information to the caregivers.
Wow.
And then you mentioned children's books. Do you ever think you would do something, or have you thought of doing something for children?
No.
No.
Well,
Okay. Okay.
sometimes we do, but
Mhm.
not for children necessarily. But we have
Okay.
had things with authors presenting their books, mainly to adults, because adults are the ones that buy the books.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we do have, we have had programs where we've featured the authors of the children's
Oh,
books.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to, I could sign up for your newsletter and I would be alerted to all of these events and the authors
Right.
and all of that, correct?
Yeah, we send out a weekly newsletter. It has like the author of the week, whether it's a post or a podcast. So every other week we have a new author, a new post. That's pretty much the schedule. The schedule was interrupted this year because I ended up having to do caregiving for my mother-in-law.
Mhm.
So it threw off the whole schedule, which is, we don't, no big
Life.
deal.
It's
And
life.
so the podcast was on a hiatus for a while, but we're resuming it. So we have a podcast every other week and a post every other week.
Okay.
So you would learn that. You would learn about events, and like some of the authors, they have events, so we publicize their events. Other things that are going on, they just had news about that new drug that they decided the Medicare was going to cover.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the news last week, so we post something like that, and we have a shop, so we talk about that, what you can buy at the shop, and things
Okay.
like that. Other podcasts that we go on or that our friends have.
Mhm.
We try to be collaborative and include other people's things, so it's not just about us.
Sure. Sure.
Well,
Okay.
I tell you, I want to say thank you to St. Thomas Virgin Islands that came in to the broadcast. We welcome them and glad that they were here tonight. The topics that you have and that you cover touch us all,
Mhm.
and
Amazing.
just to think of the frequency with which you are able to put information out there. I do a newsletter once a month, and at the end of every month, I'm like, what am I going to talk about next month?
Yeah.
To think that you were able to do this on a weekly or bi-weekly basis is just
Yeah.
it is just mind-blowing. And the fact of all of the different topics that you touch
Mm-hmm.
within this, specifically with the caregivers, because the caregiver's journey, whether it's Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever the situation may be, um, they are always in as much need uh, of resources and support as the individual and the situation that they're dealing with. So I just admire everything that you have done and the fact that you're not done, because there's so much more and so many people are being
Yeah.
added to this wonderful job that you're doing, and I think
Yes.
it's just amazing. And my hat's off to you. I tell you that. My hat's off to you, Marianne. You're doing a
Thank
great
you.
job and have put together some wonderful things in a great way. We are almost out of time. Victoria, did you have anything for Marianne before we wrap up and find out if she has any closing words for us?
Well, I was going to ask that if Marianne, if you had any closing remarks, and would you let our viewers and our listeners know how they can get in touch with you if they had any questions?
Sure, you can go to allsauthors.com. That's our website, and you'll find all the resources there, the blog, the podcast, the bookstore, and news about our events. We have a YouTube channel. You can watch events that we've had in the past there. You can email us. It's allsauthors@gmail.com.
Okay.
And I look at that every day, as well as some of my partners, so somebody would respond to that. And my website is mariannesciucco.com, so you can follow me there. I also have my own newsletter that I do once a month for my followers, which is not about dementia. And yeah, I think that's about it. You sign up for the newsletter, and you can find out when we're, doing all these great things.
That's a lot.
Thank you so much. You are truly, I think the epitome of how your gift makes room for you. As you have truly used your gift in such a positive way, and I thank you.
Thank you. That's very sweet to say that.
Yeah, very good. Ruth, do you have anything, any closing remarks for us tonight, for our listeners or whomever?
Just our usual, Marianne, thank you so much for joining us on our show. We are, again, I said I was intrigued, and you have certainly satisfied that intrigue. So I am just amazed at what you've done. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And for any of our listeners or our watchers, you can email us at authorsup@gmail.com if you have any questions, if you missed any part of the show, would like more information, if you're interested in being a guest on our show, authorsup@gmail.com. Make sure to follow us on our social media. We are on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and you can also find our podcast. It's all Authors Up Show on all those platforms. Make sure to follow us.
Good job, Ruth. I can never remember all that stuff. but thank you. And thank you all for joining tonight. I'm thankful for everyone who's on the line, everyone who shares this show, because you never know, never know whether you will be in that situation. You never know who you already know that may need this information. So don't base it on, oh, I don't know anybody like that, or I don't know anybody who may need that. Just share it anyway. And I think you'd be surprised at the number of people that have been looking and just didn't know where to find the information that they needed. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you, Virgin Islands, for coming in tonight. And I know there were some other countries who came in as well. This is our favorite place to be on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m.
Absolutely.
We tell everybody that we know, be here 7 p.m. on Sunday evenings. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of information, inspiration, and a lot of things that just will strengthen you on this journey that we call life. So thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. We will be right back here next week at 7 p.m. I'd love to tell you what we're going to talk about and who we're going to have on, but you're just going to have to come back and see. How about that? Join us next week. Have a wonderful week. And hopefully we will see you back here next Sunday at 7 p.m. for another edition of Authors Up. Marianne, thanks again.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Bosco.